All Porsches have very extensive option lists, and even with extensive option lists, there are a ton of models to choose from, and the Taycan is no exception. There are no less than 12 versions to choose from, and so today I'm going to be talking about which version to go for and what options to go for. Previously, I did a speccing a Taycan for under 100k video. If you haven't seen that video, please check it out. It really does help a lot. And well, without further ado, let's begin. So, the Taycan range kicks off with the Taycan. Now, there are three kinds of Taycan: the sedan, the Sport Turismo, and the Cross Turismo. The sedan is basically what you see here. It's a classic three-box sedan design, although it might seem like a hatchback, but it actually isn't. The Cross Turismo is not as aerodynamic as a sedan, so there is going to be less range with the Cross Turismo. However, for 2023, there are some changes, so all Taycans get a bit more range. The Cross Turismo is also a bit more SUV-ified, if you understand what I'm talking about. Basically, it's a bit like an electric all-road, which means you get a slightly higher suspension, you get slightly lifted suspension, in other words. You also get black plastic cladding. Or, with the last model, you can get the Sport Turismo version, which basically is a sedan turned into a wagon without any of that black cladding or the lifted suspension. It's worth noting that the Sport Turismo is only available with the GTS version. All other models can be had in sedan or Cross Turismo form, except for the base Taycan, because the Cross Turismo range kicks off with the Taycan 4, which basically means it's a four-wheel drive. The sedan range meanwhile kicks off with the Taycan, which means it's a rear-wheel drive. It's also worth noting there's no Taycan S, so the Taycan will be your only choice if you want a rear-wheel drive Taycan. The model I do recommend is going to be the 4S. The 4S feels very rapid, and it doesn't really cost more compared to the Taycan. The Taycan specs are all that impressive actually. 0 to 60 in 5.1 seconds will be ridiculously fast even just 10 years ago. However, nowadays we have a Tesla Model 3 costing 60 grand going 0 to 60 in 3.3 seconds, and a Hyundai doing 0 to 60 in 3.7 seconds. So 5.1 seconds really isn't all that fast anymore. It's also worth noting the Taycan 4 is a bit faster, 0 to 60 in 4.8 seconds, due to the fact that it has two motors instead of one, therefore it has more power. All Cross Turismo versions also come as standard with air suspension and the larger performance battery plus. The Taycan 4S also doesn't have the performance battery plus as standard, which means it gets the smaller battery. Although only the Taycan 4 and the Taycan rear-wheel drive and the Taycan 4S get the smaller battery. All other models get the larger performance battery plus. As you can see here, it has 522 horsepower, 0 to 60 in 3.8 seconds, properly rapid. You can also get the Cross Turismo version. Now, as you can see here, we have the GTS version. Now, the GTS version is probably the most unique version here, because as I said before, it's the only one available with the Sport Turismo version. But I made a GTS video some time ago, and I'm going to put that down below in the description so you guys can see me talk more in depth about the GTS. Moving on to the Turbo, this is where the price tag really gets crazy. $153,000 to be exact. Now, can you spend this much money on a Taycan? Yeah, exactly. A World Cup 4S version can be this expensive. If you are going to equip a 4S version with a ton of crazy extras such as the Burmeister sound system, 18-way seats, carbon ceramics, just go for the Turbo instead. Now, at the top of the range, we have the Turbo S model. It's worth noting, when you're driving normally, the Turbo and the Turbo S all have around 610 horsepower. It's only when you're doing launch controls when the Turbo S actually gives you more power. Meanwhile, the Turbo S also gives you standard 21-inch alloys, carbon ceramic brakes, and all of the performance options as standard, such as rear-wheel steering and torque vectoring as standard. the only performance option that's extra are the brake calipers in black and Porsche dynamic chassis control. Today, I'm going to be going with a Taycan Turbo S Turismo because, well, it's quite expensive, but I'm going to be speccing this car to quite a ridiculous extent. The Taycan Turbo also comes as standard with more features, such as a Bose sound system, 14 or 18 weight seats, 20-inch alloys, and a matrix headlamp system. Stuff like that is all standard on the Turbo, while it is an option on the 4S. So I think if you're going to get options, the Turbo is the way to go. You also get metallic paint as standard on the Turbo. I'm just going to go with Carrera white metallic. Colors, I'm just going to get the Taycan Turbo S Aero design wheels. $600 looks better than the Taycan Turbo wheels, in my opinion. You can get painted wheels, but those are only available with the 21-inch wheels. You can also get wheel steering caps with color Porsche crest. Now, with the Taycan Turbo S wheels, you also already get these as standard, so it's part of the $600 cost, so I'm not going to go for these. Interior, you also get the full leather interior on the Turbo as standard. It's normally a $4,500 option on the 4S models, so this is also why I go for a Turbo. I'll go for the black and Bordeaux red interior. And I also go for the Sport Seats Plus, as I think they hold you better in place, actually, compared to the power comfort seats or the 14-way seats, as you may know, because it's a comfort seat. Now, packages, these are more of a country-specific option. In the US, we have these packages, which basically bundle some options together to give you them as a slight discount. And a package I highly recommend is the performance package. You get rear axle steering, dynamic chassis control, sport chrono, and electric sport sound. Electric sport sound is basically a sound generator that makes sort of spaceship-like sounds when you're driving. Sport chrono pack, basically is it gives you stuff like the drive mode selector on the steering wheel and a clock here on the dash. Dynamic chassis control is very important for a car like this, especially on the Cross Turismo version, because the Cross Turismo version has a slightly softer chassis tune, and the Taycan is a very heavy vehicle. The dynamic chassis control sport is a very important option. For those who don't know what dynamic chassis control is, it's basically a 48-volt anti-roll bar setup, which basically controls body roll very well. It makes the car corner almost flat. And I also add rear axle steering because this makes the Taycan more agile, as it's quite a large vehicle. I also add the premium package, actually. Add some of the essential that you would want in a luxury car such as this. As you can see here, that's like ventilated seats, adaptive cruise control, but I just changed that for the lane change assist. No, I also add rear 2+1 seats. The Taycan comes as standard with 4 seats only, with a storage tray in the center seat, but I add the rear 2+1 seat to give you a center pass-through, center seatbelt, and center headrest to fit 5 at a pinch. In a pinch when you do need 5 seats. I'm also going to add roof rails in aluminum finish. Now, it's worth noting you can get a ton of high gloss black accents on the Taycan, such as just like other Porsches. It's a bit of a rabbit hole if you do that, because if you do that, you basically have window trim in high gloss black, door handles in high gloss black, and then it's going to end up getting very expensive. So do be careful of that if you're going to add this. Now, the turbo also comes standard with the stiff rest coated brakes as standard, which basically means the brakes have a coating to them to create zero brake dust, or near zero brake dust, actually. Now, as I mentioned before, you get the matrix headlamps as standard on the Turbo and above models. However, if you want to tint the headlamps or you want some blue elements in the headlamps, it's a $580 extra. Panoramic roof with variable light control is a very nice option. It is, however, very expensive. It's basically like you can tint the roof at a push of a button, like this or like this or like this, as this picture shows. I'm not going to add it. I think some AstroTurf will do just fine. Now, comfort and assistance systems. Heads-up display is very nice. $1,800. You're already paying this much for a car, so I think why not add that? I'm also going to add adaptive cruise control and active lane keep. Now, advanced force on climate control. This adds a screen in the rear and power air vents in the rear. By power air vents, you basically control the air vents via a screen. I think it's not needed, although it is very nice if you do carry rear passengers regularly. I also had dark silver interior accents to replace these black plastic bits and make the interior look a bit more premium. I'm just going to go to the race text interior options here because it's worth noting. With the turbo trim, you get the standard race text headliner or the standard Alcantara headliner. I also add maybe a carbon fiber trim. It's $2,500, so I'm not going to add it after all. It's quite expensive. Door sill guards are very nice. I'm not going to do them in carbon fiber as they are ridiculously expensive. I am however going to do the interior trim in aluminum and the door sill guards in black brushed aluminum. I'm also going to add a Burmeister 3D high-end surround sound system, as the Bose sound system in Taycan just isn't all that good. I'm also going to add preparation for rear seat entertainment. This is a very rare option, but if you do happen to want that rear seat entertainment, you can fit it back in there. If you don't select this option, you won't be able to do that. Power charge port cover is very nice, but it deletes this vent right here actually. This is also a standard option on Turbo S models. I'm also going to add a onboard charger with 19.2 kilowatts and the onboard 150 kilowatt DC charger. And that's my build, $184,590. We added a lot of options onto this car. You can strip away some of the options, actually, such as the heads-up display and the inner drive adaptive cruise control system, and just swap it for a standard adaptive cruise control system. You can also strip away the dark silver interior accents, the Burmeister surround sound system. But when you're paying this much for a car, I expect it to have a lot of features. And again, with all Porsches, it doesn't come with a lot of standard features, such as the power folding exterior mirrors are still an option, even on this car. This is justify the price, as I said. In my opinion, it's a very good piece of engineering. If you can justify a cost, it will be one of the best electric cars out there. And that is my opinion on the Taycan Turbo. Thanks for watching.